All right, this is the nitrogen cycle. It's another nutrient, one you probably have not studied at all. And don't be intimidated. The amount you're going to need to retain is very little. What you're going to have to be able to do is explain why plants need nitrogen, how it's converted into a form plants used, how it gets back out of the animals, and logically deduce the existence of a complementary process, meaning something I've skipped that you should be able to figure out because otherwise you get a contradiction. And what's really important is what's happening because of our excess use of nitrogen compounds. I'm going to teach you this word eutrophication, but you won't be tested on it. You're just going to have to logically explain what you see around the countryside and in our sky and how it relates to nitrogen. Again, I want you to see this in the world. Go out there and be able to say, hey, Dad, look, I know what's going on there now. All right, let's begin. Nitrogen, which only ever shows up as a pair, N2, oxygen always shows up as O2. You've never seen oxygen written as O. Nitrogen is another element that always shows up in a pair, N2. It is almost 80% of our atmosphere, yet we do nothing with it. You can completely remove it from the air, and we could still breathe. And you might go, why not? Why not give us 100% oxygen? They did it on the early American spacecraft and they incinerated 3 astronauts. Pure oxygen is very harmful for you. So the 80% nitrogen isn't going to waste. Life forms need it, even if we don't breathe it. And to have more oxygen in our atmosphere than we currently have would be disastrous. You're actually aware of nitrogen in your body when you crack your knuckles. That popping sound is like opening a pop bottle and creating bubbles. But instead of the CO2 and pop, it's nitrogen. Nitrates are something you can get into your body. They are edible. So when you breathe in nitrogen, you spit it right back out in your breath. It is so unreactive, we can use it in expensive wines, even in car tires, seal precious documents in a nitrogen atmosphere. So if you went to the wine store and you're buying like a really expensive bottle of wine, like 80 bucks, they will give you a nitrogen cylinder and you can actually, after you open the wine, flush the air out and put nitrogen in it so it doesn't change its taste. How does nitrogen turn into this form called a nitrate, NO3? Well, there's two primary methods. One, the most dramatic, is a lightning bolt. A lightning bolt is powerful enough to immediately set fire to nitrogen and oxygen and form an NO3 compound. And in grade 10, you'll learn how to balance this equation. And anyone who wants to learn it now, I'll teach it to you. The other thing is when you pull out some plants by the roots, it looks like they have warts. And these are a good thing. This is a soybean plant. They're one of the best for this. And these warts can inhale nitrogen, use it as breathing gas like we would use oxygen, and they excrete nitrates, which the plants think is fertilizer. So the plant is in what's called a symbiotic relationship. It's allowing the bacteria to live on its roots, steal a little bit of its water, but in the turn, the plant gets fertilized. And if it wasn't for earthworms letting the air in, these root nodules can suffocate. That's why if you're planting plants, you don't sit there with a hammer and hammer the dirt and rock solid around the plant. You got to let air get to those roots. Not that the roots want the air, but these bacteria colonies do. Now, unfortunately, we have been so good at making artificial nitrates to add to our soil to improve the growth beyond what natural nitrification would cause, that we've actually made it a serious pollutant. We've over fertilized to the point that nitrates are now a pollutant. Another form of nitrogen life forms can use is ammonia. It has the formula NH3, and once upon a time, everybody would have ammonia in their house for cleaning. The only place it's left in is Windex. It's got a very nasty kind of vinegary, like baby pee, a fish tank that's really stinky, or a cat litter box that you haven't changed in a while, and the urine balls that are in the litter are just your eyes sting. Ammonia is really harmful, and we excrete it in large quantities. A person who's diabetic may get an odor around them, and you might meet them one day and go, "Gosh, did the guy pee his pants?" It's like, no, it's their ammonia levels. and it's totally okay, but they're having trouble balance. So don't be so mean to people. If you meet a person who's got a strange body odor, it may be they have a medical condition. And if you become a nurse or a doctor, you could tell what's wrong with them if they pick up an odor like that. Being diabetic myself, I have to watch if any body odor suddenly changes. You go, oh, too much sugar today. So it's a normal process. When animals excrete waste, this nitrates, the ammonia has to be turned into nitrates. The ammonia is poison. It kills almost every life source that I am known of. It's really bad. So when a dog pees on your lawn, have you not noticed the grass dies right where the dog peed? That's the ammonia. But about 6 inches back, you'll see the grass actually grows greener and lusher a few days later because the bacteria have turned the ammonia into nitrates. So the urine cannot fertilize on a direct spot. Anyone who's made a mistake of getting cow manure to fertilize their garden, you cannot get it fresh from the course. It'll be full of ammonia and it'll kill your garden. You've got to let the manure age behind the barn for like a season, then it's okay. Now, here's one of these industrial hog farms, and it might have 80,000 pigs there, and they will have huge sewage lagoons, big as the Orangeville Reservoir. And the lagoon accidentally broke and leaked the nitrate and ammonia filled waste into a local river. Um, Sometimes these farmers, well, they're not farmers, they're corporations. They kind of like, oh, it accidentally spilled, and you're kind of like, or did you just bulldoze it open during a rainstorm, hope to save yourself some money? They fly by around with helicopters looking for illegal dumps like this. This can kill everything in the river. Plus, the pig waste is full of bacteria as well. Okay, so here's the farm lagoon when it's nice and contained, but that is pig poop. And here's the natural waterway around it. So they're awfully close to a natural stream. And oops, their dam broke. And look at the water now. Same farm, look what's happened when the lagoon discharged into the water. We're going to try to figure out what this green, vile mess is in the next few minutes. And here's a case where the lagoon overflowed, and you're looking at a live sluice of liquefied pig waste being dumped into river. So this can be a major problem. One of the biggest sources of ammonia and nitrates getting into our waterways now are these gigantic pig and cow farms, pigs being one of the worst for this. Okay, so we're going to summarize briefly before I move on. Nitrogen gets in the ground in three ways. Lightning bolts turn it to nitrates, beneficial organisms on plant roots, and when animals urinate, corpses decay, or fecal matter gets in the ground, it's full of ammonia, which must be turned into nitrates. Okay, so those are the three ways it gets into the ground, and that would be the part you need to know. Now I'm going to pause the video for part one before I run out of the time I'm allowed to record.